And just like that, we are back. We are live. This is your WWE Wrestle Palooza 2025 post show. The show has just gone off the air, live on Netflix internationally, on ESPN in the United States. Overall show, it's a difficult one actually. The reason I say it's a difficult one because the show starts red hot. You have a match which I think a lot of people really tuned into this show to see, which was Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. I think a lot of people were curious to see what they would do, who would win, how Brock would look, considering he hasn't wrestled in 2 years. I do think that match delivered in terms of spectacle and getting people talking and probably what that match should have been. And then the rest of the show, you had opportunities. You had opportunities to main event this show with a couple of different things. Brock versus Cena easily could have been the show's main event. The mixed tag team match involving AJ Lee returning to the ring for the first time in over a decade. Really fun match. Crowd really enjoyed it. Easily could have and maybe should have been the main event. They went with the WWE Championship match to be the main event. I think a lot of people thought, myself included, well, if they're doing this to be the main event, there must be something planned here. There must be like a title change or turn, something like that. And it became quite apparent that the reason they wanted to do it is just because it's first show on ESPN and they want to have their guy front and center at to close the show. And the problem is with that is the match wasn't that great. The crowd were kind of like, we've seen the big stuff happen earlier on in the evening. And the finish sucked. The finish sucked. So in terms of an overall presentation on ESPN, two of the matches I think are the matches people were most interested in, which was obviously the Cena Lesnar one and the mixed tag probably delivered. Other stuff outside of it was kind of meh. And actually, I do think it's quite interesting because going into this PLE as well, this is, remember, a PLE that, you hear Triple H and others say, we want Wrestle Palooza. We're going big on it every year. We want this to be the same size as a WrestleMania or as a Royal Rumble or as a SummerSlam. Did this show tonight feel on the level of a WrestleMania? Probably not. I mean, you get Cena Brock, which again is big. AJ Lee's return, which was, big. But aside from that, it could have been, I guess, any other PLE, really, that WWE has presented. So we'll get into it. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that's stuck with me and tuned in today. It's been, if you've come with me from United View, it's been a very long day. I started streaming yesterday at 3:30 p.m. is when I went live on United View. As of the time right now, it is 3:24 a.m. So I've nearly been in this chair streaming for pretty much 12 hours consecutive. That's probably the longest I've ever done. So I really appreciate everyone that's stuck with me and tuned in across all of the different streams. It's much appreciated. Not that, I wouldn't have it any other way. It wouldn't have it any other way. Let's get to the match that opened the show that I think probably most people tuned in for. This, and obviously, like I said, AJ Lee's return match. John Cena, Brock Lesnar. There was a lot of curiosity as to who would win this one. You've got John Cena, it's for his retirement tour. You've got Brock Lesnar, it's his first match back in over 2 years. And the conundrum you have is, do you have Cena constantly losing when he's going to retire soon? Or do you have, do you really beat Brock when he's just come back? And my prediction going into this show is that I thought Brock would win. I must say, when I saw that it was going to be opening the show, I did then think to myself, I don't know if Brock will win, actually. But not only did Brock Lesnar win, Brock Lesnar absolutely dominated John Cena. It wasn't an exact replica of the match at SummerSlam in 2014, but it wasn't a million miles off it, which is Brock basically dominates John Cena. The way that a John Cena Brock Lesnar match goes is the bell rings. There is an opening flurry from Cena. Lesnar then dominates with some German suplexes or some overall suplexes. Then Cena does a bit of a hero spot. So Cena will hit a couple of AAs, 2 or 3 AAs. Brock will kick out. Then Brock hits about 5 or 6 F5s and then gets the 1, 2, 3. And that's how the match went. That's how it went. It absolutely destroyed John Cena. After the match, he destroys a referee. I think that might be the way to write Lesnar off television. Brock's out of control, so he's going to be suspended. He's going to be suspended until he's not. And then because he's got limited dates on his contract. Does Cena lose anything? No, because, again, I think it's the right call for Cena to lose because, if you're on a retirement tour, I think there's a story to be told there about, look, I'm retiring in December. I don't even know if I can do it anymore. I had to cheat to become champion one more time. And, I sold out my morals and, I did come back and, I just... I got dominated by Brock, and maybe I don't have it anymore. Maybe it's a good thing that I'm retired. I think there's a story to be told there. As far as who's next for Brock, it's a really good question. I think at some point in the future, when Brock retires, which I don't think is, by the way, a million miles off. I think that SummerSlam next year is in Minneapolis, right? I think there's potential for Brock Lesnar to retire there. If he wants to, he's still in obviously unbelievable shape. So I think they're building him up to lose to an up and coming babyface or an up and comer. Whether that's he loses to Gunther or he loses to Bron Breakker, that's the plan. I don't know. I don't see really any mileage of him facing Cody Rhodes again, considering the last time we saw Brock, he was feuding with Cody, and Cody won that feud. So I don't really see the point in that. As far as who Cena faces off against next, that's a really good question. He's obviously only got limited dates. I think he is booked for Crown Jewel in Perth. He's booked for Survivor Series, and he's booked for obviously his retirement match, which is on a Saturday night's main event in Washington, D.C. in December. As far as who do I think he's going to face off against left, or the people that are left, I guess you could do the match of AJ. They could run it back again with Brock, I suppose. Do it again in Crown Jewel, maybe. But I think because if you've got so many limited dates, I kind of prefer the idea of him facing as many different opponents as we possibly can. But I think, again, Brock attacking the referee, I think is a way to write him off television because what's there now left for him to do. But just to show you how beloved John Cena is, Brock Lesnar so effectively destroyed John Cena. There were kids crying. You see Cena come out there with flanked by the kids. Children were weeping in the audience. That is how much of a connection John Cena has with the crowd. So I thought it was a good bit of business. You're never going to get a classic, like in terms of like a mat wrestling classic, because that's just not what Brock does. And the Brock Lesnar matches are very formulaic, really, which is he dominates, throws people around for a long time. You get hero spots, and then either the hero wins or loses. That's the formula of the Brock match. It was interesting that Paul Heyman did the announcement for Brock Lesnar, but he didn't stick around at ringside. So I wonder if they're going to do more of them pairing up, or it was just a one-off just to do the ring introduction. Maybe that was part of it. Who knows? But Lesnar's victorious, and Lesnar absolutely dominates John Cena in the opening match of Wrestle Palooza. If you haven't already, click the like button and be sure to subscribe. Next up was the Usos versus The Vision. And to be honest with you, probably the biggest talking point out of this match is Jey Uso gets absolutely split wide open. Not intentionally. Now, LA Knight was a special guest referee. This was confirmed during the kickoff show, the countdown show, that LA Knight was going to be the special guest referee. And basically, because he was the referee, it was kind of like, they can do whatever they want, because LA Knight was like, I'm not going to disqualify you. So if you want to bring in tables or chairs, I don't give a shit. So that's what happened. And to be honest with you, so I suppose it's a massive victory for the Vision, right? You've got WWE like to claim that the Usos are the greatest tag team of all time. I don't know if I would consider them, but they're in the conversation, the greatest WWE tag teams of all time, right? They've achieved a lot. And you've got the Vision in Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. They're not a proper tag team, and they've defeated the Usos. It's pretty significant. Now, they were sowing, like the seeds of dissension between Jey Uso and LA Knight. I think maybe they're building up to more happening between Jey Uso and LA Knight, possibly on Monday Night Raw. But you had a situation where the Usos got put for a table, and Bronson Reed hits the tsunami on, I think it's Jey, gets the pin on Jey and gets the 1, 2, 3. So a big victory for the Vision. I don't know if this felt like, in recent weeks they've been trying to, obviously they've been doing the whole, the Usos back together. Not that they weren't before, but, they're teaming up together again for this show and this, that, and the other. Maybe it's just me, but it didn't feel big. You know what I mean? It didn't feel big. And once again, with a lot of things with the Jey Uso matches, it's kind of the entrance happens and the crowd loved it, and they had Jimmy Uso get on the mic and say, light up your phones and do this, that, and the other. And they did the entrance, and then they did it again. And then the bell has to ring, and it was probably like a match you wouldn't be out of place on an episode of like Raw or SmackDown in like the main event. Like, it was fine, but it was a pretty standard paint by numbers tag team match for me. Anyway, I didn't really think that one kind of blew me away. But the Vision, victorious, big victory for them. And is this the end now of the Usos reunion? I guess it is, isn't it? I guess this is the end of the Usos reunion. Next up, we had the Women's World Championship. Unsurprisingly, Stephanie Vaquer is the brand new WWE Women's World Champion, which is the right decision. Io Sky didn't need to become the Women's World Champion because she doesn't need the belt. She's one of the best, if not the best wrestler in the world at the moment. She does not need the Women's World Championship. She held it earlier on this year. She was the Women's Champion like a year or so ago. She's in a very, very, very good position. And this match just, once again, further cemented it. She's one of the best in-ring talents. It did take a while to get going. Maybe that's just me, but I did feel like the match took a while to kind of get going, and Vaquer maybe in a couple of moments was maybe a little bit slow, and Sky was trying to sort of pick up the pace. They told a good story about Vaquer working over the knees, the legs of Io Sky, and it must be said, she the dragon screw leg whips that Stephanie Vaquer was putting on Io Sky at points in this match was pretty incredible. I mean, it looked really, really painful. We get into the final stretches of the match, and Io Sky still favoring the knee. She takes down the knee pads, hits the bullet train in the corner, goes up top for the over the moonsault. Vaquer rolls out the way, and she lands obviously on the exposed knees, which doesn't help. And then Vaquer hits a version of the spinal tap, and it's absolutely incredible. Fantastic finish, crowd react. And again, it's the right call. Stephanie Vaquer has been on a meteoric rise in WWE. And it's funny, actually, isn't it? Because when her and Julia came into NXT, I think there was kind of a feeling of Julia was 1A and Vaquer was 1B. Wasn't a lot between them, but Julia was the one that a lot of people were talking about. The main thing that people were talking about with Vaquer was that, she was in CMLL and had the thing against Mercedes at Forbidden Door, and then AEW wanted to sign her, but she went to WWE. But there was a feeling of Julia was the sought-after free agent. And Julia's done okay, obviously, but Vaquer feels like she's just surpassed her, and obviously the crowd really like her. I think her English is improving, her matches are good, and like I said, it was definitely the right call for her to win the Women's World Championship. And they're certainly, WWE feel like they've got a major star on their hands in the form of Stephanie Vaquer, and I would probably tend to agree. So I enjoyed this match. I think it was the right outcome. And I'm very pleased for Stephanie Vaquer, absolutely. We then move on to what probably should have been the main event. I mean, if you were going to open with Brock versus Cena, which I get, because you don't want to end too much on a downer, and I suppose given the nature of that match, maybe it was a bit of a downer, you could have and should have ended with this one, which was the mixed tag team match. AJ Lee competes in her first match in over a decade as she and CM Punk are victorious against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. And you know what I really enjoyed about this match? For the longest time, WWE shied away from doing the kind of matches they would do in, like, say, the 1980s. And what I mean by that is, if you go back and watch a tag team match in, like, the 80s or the 90s or even, like, the early 2000s, you will see classic tag team staple stuff, which is distracting of the referee. They make a tag, but someone's distracted the ref, so the ref goes, no, that doesn't count. You know, that kind of stuff. This was, for the longest period of time, that's what it was. They took a lifetime to get AJ Lee into the match by design, so they're building it up, they're building it up. And then when AJ Lee did get into the match, I think she looked great. And it was a bit clunky in the final moments where they were going to be going through the table. They were sort of planning like a double table spot, and Becky Lynch threw AJ Lee into CM Punk, and everyone goes crashing through the tables, and that was a bit clunky. And especially then because they get back in the ring and they go straight to the finish, which AJ Lee taps out Becky Lynch to the Black Widow. But in terms of a performance, I thought AJ Lee looked great. I thought, obviously, Becky Lynch looked great. Punk looked great. Rollins looked great. I'm not surprised in terms of the outcome, but the crowd were happy with it. I think everyone in the ring was happy with it. I think now you have to kind of split them and say, well, either you run the match back and this time the titles are on the line, which they could do, or you go, right, AJ Lee's facing Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and you're getting Punk versus Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Because let's face it, maybe not so much the AJ Lee one and Becky Lynch, because that's only really just got going in earnest, but with the Rollins and Punk one, that's got to end fairly soon, hasn't it? I mean, it's been going on forever. I understand it's been on and off and what have you, and Punk's been doing his, other things, and then he comes back, but it's been going on forever. Ever since Punk came back to WWE in 2023. Yes, he's been injured, and then it was with McIntyre for a while, and Rollins was away, but it's been on and off now for closing in 2 years. And for me, the only way it ends, really, I think, is with Punk beating Rollins. I mean, Punk's babyface here, but Rollins only just won the title at SummerSlam. So when does he drop the belt? I mean, I think it would be, frankly, a bit of a waste. If we go all the way to WrestleMania and it's CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, I'd be like, really? Is that really the direction to go in? So it feels like we're building towards Punk Rollins, but I don't know when that will be. Is that a crown jewel next month? Do they wait until it's Survivor Series? I mean, Punk won the WWE Championship at Survivor Series back in 2011 when he went on that reign of, 434 days, whatever it was. Maybe they wait until then and do the whole, CM Punk X amount of years ago, he won the WWE Championship, and 14-odd years later, he's going to do the same thing for the world. I don't know. In terms of a match, though, it was fun. It was fine. I think everyone delivered, and it's great to see AJ Lee back inside of a professional wrestling ring, and she looks like she really hasn't missed a beat. So credit to her, certainly, for that. And CM Punk, AJ Lee victorious, and good for them. And then finally we got to the main event, which I thought, as I said, with this being the main event, I thought, wow, we are going to have a title change, or we're going to have some kind of turn. Maybe Randy Orton turns on Cody. It wasn't that. All it was is that WWE, it's their first show on ESPN, and because it's their first show on ESPN, they want their, as they say, QB1, which I find a bit cringe, to be honest with you, QB1 front and center. So it was the Cody Rhodes show. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think this match did Drew McIntyre any favors at all, because this felt very, very Super Cena-ish of the sort of mid-2000s or sort of 2010s, whereby they played up throughout this whole match, Cody's not right, Cody's not right, he's hurt. Cody's hurt. 5 weeks ago, Drew put him through the bottom of the table. He's hurt. Cody stumbling around. He keeps holding his head. He can't keep his balance. It doesn't matter, though. He beat him. it doesn't matter. He beat him. So, yeah, they get to the closing stages. And there was a few things, wasn't there? One, McIntyre exposes the turnbuckle. And there's a point where he rolls Cody up, but the ref's outside the ring. There's like an 8 count. And that wasn't... McIntyre had the match won then. Then on the outside of the ring, it looks like he's going to hit the Claymore to Cody through the table once again. And the ref's, no, you can't. You can't do that. McIntyre, why not? Eventually swipes the ref out of the way, goes for the Claymore. Cody moves out of the way, he hurts his leg. And back in the ring, Cody hits a crossroads and he gets the win. And no turn, no title change. Just send him home happy. Finish with WWE's guy in the middle of the ring. And like I said, I don't think it did McIntyre many favors. Yes, you can say, oh, he was protected and because he had the injury and the ref and this, that, and the other. But I look at that and just go, how is that? Like, that doesn't feel like a babyface win. I think WWE has to be very careful with that kind of booking. Because when you do that kind of stuff, like it felt like if you believe this to be real, right? If this was a legitimate contest, you would go, well, the referee heavily favored the champion there. That's bullshit. So how does a sort of screwy finish do well for the babyface? I suppose it gives McIntyre an out, but yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. And then again, in terms of a main event, I thought it was kind of meh. I thought if they could have main evented, if they should have done it again, maybe go with Cena Brock. I think that would have been a better ending for the shock value, and Cena walking off to the backstage like they did would be a real talking point. That it feels like that PLE's ended, and particularly when it comes to the main event, there's not really that much to talk about, is there? Cody won, even though he was hurt. We got Super Cody. That's it. You know, if you'd gone with Cena and Lesnar, the main event, you'd been like, Lesnar destroyed Cena, and what's going to happen here? And there's more talking points there, whereas I just don't feel like there is any from this Cody Drew one. I think already on the post show they're saying, oh, they could run it back, and McIntyre's going to probably say that he got screwed over, so they'll do a rematch, but that won't be at Crown Jewel, because Michael Cole did confirm it's going to be a repeat of what they had at last year's Crown Jewel, which will be World Champion versus World Champion. So it'll be Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins for the Crown Jewel Championship, and it'll be Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie McCur for the Women's World Championship. So that's probably the matches that are planned. So as far as what that means for, I suppose, for CM Punk and for Drew McIntyre, time will only tell. But yes, in terms of an overall show, I've seen a Lesnar. I thought that was good. The mixed tag was good. Apart from that, women's world title match was good. But I don't know. I just felt a lot of it felt a bit flat. And also, as God, goes without saying, those ads on WWE television are out of control. They are just absolutely out of control. Now on Netflix, you're watching a premium live event with adverts. Oh my God. So yes, that is the Wrestle Palooza post show for you guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Like I said, it's been a long day, a wild day, a crazy day. I really appreciate everyone that stuck with me through the United View stream, through AEW All Out, through Wrestle Palooza, and then into this post show. I was going to do an AEW All Out post show, but I don't think I've got it in me. So we'll cover that tomorrow in the news videos and the countdown videos. Really appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Click the like button, subscribed. I know a bunch of people got NordVPN using our link. I can see that, which is really much appreciated. I hope you enjoyed watching all the shows this evening, and that is another way to support the channel, so I really appreciate that as well. Big up to everyone in the chat. Akeem, I can see there, Willie, John Elite, Red Devils, Michael, and others, Nathaniel. Really appreciate, like I said, everyone that stayed locked in, stayed tuned in, and more content coming soon. Appreciate you all. I'm out of here. Peace.